Number 7. Built on GM's X-Body platform alongside the Nova, Buick, Apollo, and Pontiac. Ventura, the Omega shared most of its body and mechanical bits with the Chevy, but wore its own split waterfall grille, unique tail treatment, and fancier interior with wood grain trim to remind you this was the upscale compact in the family. Under the hood, the fun option was Oldsmobile's 5.7 liters, Rocket 5.8, the lone 8-cylinder in the lineup, sitting above the standard 250 Chevy inline-6. It wasn't the wildest rocket ever built, but it came from the same Olds V8 family. Oldsmobile had been proudly calling rockets since 1949. With a curb weight of around 3,400 pounds, a 350-powered Omega could go to 60 inches, roughly 8.7 seconds, and the quarter mile in the high 16-second range. In real life, that translated to easy, low RPM torque, decent passing power, and just enough V8 rumble to remind you hadn't bought the rental spec 6-cylinder. The 73 Omega 350 Rocket 5.8 never became a poster car hero, but as a compact, badge-engineered sleeper with a proper small block under the hood, it's very much the quiet kid in class. You only notice once he leaves a pair of black lines leaving the parking lot. Number 6. In 1970, the Ford LTD 429 was peak, big car, big engine America, wrapping serious muscle in a very respectable full-size luxury suit. The LTD nameplate had started in 1,965 as the plush top trim of Ford's full-size line. But by the second-generation redesign in 1969 to 70, it was effectively the brand's flagship family cruiser, riding a long 121-inch wheelbase with formal rooflines. And for 1,970, a fresh 3-segment grille and revised tail treatment that made it look just a little bit like a budget Lincoln. Underneath the vinyl roof and wood grain, though, the options list hid some real hardware. At the top sat Ford's 429, member of the 385 big block family, with a 4.3 6-inch bore, 3.5 9-inch stroke, and thin wall casting that kept weight surprisingly reasonable for such a brute. In 4-barrel form, in full-size Fords and wagons, this 429 was rated around 360 gross horsepower and 480 torque, essentially the same spec as the Thunderjet 429, advertised in contemporary Thunderbird and big Ford literature. With curb weights in the 4,100 to 4,200 pounds range, no one was expecting Boss 429 numbers. But period-style specs put 0 to 60 inches, roughly the 8-second bracket. Respectable hustle for what is basically a rolling living room. The 1970 Ford LTD 429 wasn't a drag strip hero so much as a high-torque, air-conditioned, express lane king muscle car shove disguised as a very respectable family sedan. Number 5. It was the final year for the executive nameplate, a full-size Pontiac built from 1967 to 70 to slot between the entry-level Catalina and the fancier Bonneville, sharing the big 125-inch wheelbase and overall dimensions with the Bonneville, but with slightly plainer trim and pricing aimed at practical families. For $1,970, Pontiac decided that practical could also mean very fast, and rolled out a brand new 455 V8 across its full-size line. In the executive, the standard 455 was a 4-barrel big block, rated at about 360 gross horsepower and a stump-pulling 500 torque, backed most of the time by the turbo Hydra-Matic 3-speed automatic. For buyers who wanted a bit more bragging rights, Pontiac also offered a higher-strung 455 HO version in some full-size models. Rated around 370 horsepower thanks to hotter heads and cam timing, though the regular 360 horsepower 455 was already more than enough to get an executive in trouble. A 70 Executive 455 four-door hardtop with turbo hydromatic could sprint from 0 to 60 inches about 7.3 seconds and cover the quarter mile in roughly 15.3 seconds. Serious pace for a full-size family car wearing bench seats and fender skirts. Pontiac built 21,936 executives in 1970 across all body styles, making it the lowest volume full-size line that year, which only adds to the quiet sleeper appeal of a big, anonymous-looking executive 455. Number 4. The Monte Carlo itself debuted in 1970 as Chevrolet's answer to the personal luxury trend, sharing a basic chassis with the Chevelle, but stretched, smooth, and marketed as a stylish long-hood, short-deck highway cruiser at a Chevrolet price. For $1,971, the styling changes were mild, revised grille and trim, while the serious business stayed in the options. List: the SS 454 package, RPO Z20. That option turned the Monte from a gentleman's coupe into a stealth muscle, bundling heavy-duty suspension, wider wheels and tires, SS 454 badging, and an automatic load-leveling rear suspension, with the LS 5454 as mandatory equipment, and the Turbo Hydromatic 400 as the only transmission offered. Under the hood sat the LS5 Mark IV Big Block, 454 cubic inches of cast iron persuasion with a Rochester Quadrajet 4-barrel, 8.5-to-1 compression, and 365 horsepower, 465 pounds FT in SAE gross trim. In 1971, Chevrolet sold about 128,600 Monte Carlos, but only 1,919 buyers checked the SS 454 box. And that was the final year the SS package was offered, though the 454 itself remained optional through 1,975, which makes any genuine 71 SS 454 a pretty rare shark in a sea of small blocks. Period. Motor. Trend testing of an SS 454 Monte Carlo with a 3.31 axle reported 0 to 60 inches, about 7 seconds, and a quarter-mile pass of 14.9 seconds at roughly 92 miles per hour. Number 3. The 5th-generation Fury rode on Chrysler's full-size C-body platform, and the new Sport Fury GT package turned the two-door hardtop into a plus-size performance flagship, with hidden headlights, flashy reflective strobe stripes, and a spot in Plymouth's Rapid Transit system lineup alongside Cudas, Roadrunners, and GTXs. Standard GTs got a 440 Super Commando 4-barrel rated around 350 horsepower, but the real prize was the optional V-Code 446 barrel. A 7.2 liters RB V8 breathing through 3 Holley 2-barrel carbs, officially rated at 390 horsepower and 490 torque on 10.5-to-1 compression. Street muscle and registry data note that only 666 Sport Fury GTs were built for 1,970, and period research converges on roughly 64 of those receiving the 446 barrel. About 61 sold in the US and 3 in Canada, with only around a dozen documented survivors today. Every GT, including the 6-barrel, used Chrysler's 727 torque flight, 3-speed automatic, dual exhaust, and heavy-duty suspension. No manual was offered, and like other 440 6-barrel Mopars, factory air conditioning wasn't on the menu. This combo was built to hunt, not to chill. Despite its size, the 446 Sport Fury GT ripped 0 to 60 inches just under 7 seconds with a quarter mile in the mid-1.4 second range. Numbers that put this big Plymouth right in the mix with smaller, lighter muscle cars. Number 2. AMC launched it as a one-year-only spin-off of the Hornet Compact. Pitched in, adds as a sensible alternative to the insurance-slaying muscle cars of the era, right as regulations, emissions, rules, and sky-high premiums were beginning to choke the horsepower hardy. Under the modest two-door Hornet body, AMC simply dropped in the 360 V8 from the Javelin AMX.